May say the Houston Astros have a shortstop problem, but Jeremy Pena would like to differ with you because he's crushing things in the Dominican Republic with a glove, with a bat, and he's showing a gold glove caliber type of play out there. And we'll talk about this and a whole bunch of international signings on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we update you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. You find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and on Instagram at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
If you have not looked at the calendar, it is 2022, and it's far past time for you to have subscribed to the YouTube channel, Locked On Astros. Go do it. What are you waiting for? 2023, 2024? Go do it right now, and make sure that you listen to, go ahead and watch every podcast on there. Make sure you give us a like, and make sure you listen to every one of our show on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, on your way to work, on your way home to work, or where you're working out, you're trying to lose all that holiday weight at the gym, and you have all these New Year's resolutions. Go and listen to Locked On Astros podcast. Brett is a good expert motivator, and he can pump you up.
Or even if you're out fishing, like we were on the Bolivar Peninsula today, we were doing some drone fishing, Eric. We basically, because no one can throw a line with bait out 330 meters, but if you put it on the drone that's equipped for this, you hook the bait up to the drone and you fly it out 330 meters. You let it drop it in the water and then hit home, and the thing flies back on its own. We caught 7 red drum today. Of course, those aren't fish you keep. They're not great fish to eat, but man, I caught a 40-inch drum. So I'm in the 40-inch club today. So that was pretty cool. While you're out there on the beach, crank up the radio. You can use your Apple Podcast. You can use the YouTube link and listen to us anywhere you are. Doesn't matter if you're on holiday, celebrating with the family, bring us along.
All right. And the Astros have signed Kenny G. Not the saxophone player, unfortunately, ladies. Not the guy.
Thank God, not Kenny G.
But Kenny Gomez. He was actually one of the top outfield prospects in the international market. He was the 42nd prospect in this year international signing class. He is 16-year-old Cuban outfielder. I believe that you talked about it in the last podcast, but he actually signed for a 700,000 signing bonus, according to Jesse Sanchez. And this is a kid that has a lot of promise. He is 16 years old. They also are very high on 18-year-old Dominican outfielder Luis Baez. And they think that he's going to project to be everyday right fielder with a special bat. And so he's going to be maybe a home run and a RBI type of guy. And so he's got to work on his defensive abilities, but he's definitely got he's going to be a middle of the order type of bat. Maybe, I don't want to say, I don't know much about him, but I could just, in my head, I could just predict a when you say middle of the order type guy, I'm thinking of Yordan Alvarez. I'm not saying he's going to be that type of guy, but that's when I think of middle of the order. That's what I think of.
No, yeah, definitely. And when you start looking at these players, the first thing you have to realize, if you haven't paid attention to their exact ages, again, you said, Kenny Gomez was 16. Carlos Espinoza, the other Cuban, is 20. Alberto Hernandez, so there were 3 Cubans, he's 17. Then you had Luis Baez was 18 out of the Dominican Republic, and then Samuel Kaplan was 17. I had talked a little bit to Mr. Seelig, the guy that does Cuba baseball and who came on our show before. When he gets back from Havana, he's going to jump on the show with us because he's going to have some more stories to talk about. He said while it's good for these young players, he said what he sees though, if these players keep signing out really young from Cuba, that it's going to water down the talent in Cuba. Like the Cuban talent's being taken left and right by
Right.
not only the American teams but the Japanese teams. And so, like when a kid signs for $750,000 or a kid signs for $900,000, they don't get all that money. A lot of times there are agents that help them get that, so they got to pay 200 to 300,000 to that. They've got some other things, and in the end, they may only make about 250 grand of that, and then they go straight into minor league life. And so, you and I think in terms of okay, this kid signs for this $5 million bonus over here if he's a draft pick. I mean that the money's his, but these players pay a price, not only with taking chances, they have to find the right people and who they trust. And I'm pretty sure the Astros vet some of these young stars who they're connected with to make sure that they don't have bad agents. But that stuff is out there, and it's a real cost for them. So you would like to see some of these young guys get more of their money and not have as much taken from them. But hopefully, like Gomez and these other guys can blossom. And where the Astros have really shined, Eric, in building their ball club and getting Yuli, getting Jordan, is they've made the right picks. Other teams have made these picks, and something I'm going to talk about with the Orioles host soon. He wants to talk about a comparison between the Astros and Orioles building. I don't know if you know this. I found this out in my research, Eric. The Astros were in on Jose Abreu. Okay. The
Yeah, I
Astros were,
remember that.
yeah. Okay. They were actually, well, I guess I wasn't aware of it. They were in on him when the price went too high. They
Right.
walked away from him. So there have been some young stars from Cuba the Astros have been in on, but they haven't been able to land them. And with Yuli and Jordan, that gives them a lot of clout with these young Cuban players. So 16, 17 years old, you won't see them for a few years, but you've got them. And hopefully, out of the 10 or 11 signings we had, hopefully 3 or 4 of them pan out. I think that's a success.
Yeah, I think there's 15 overall.
Okay.
Jose Arias, he was a 17-year-old outfielder. He throws right, bats right, throws right. We already talked about Baez. Then the oldest guy is Carlos Espinoza. He's from Cuba. He's 20 years old. He's a right-handed pitcher, 6'2", 188 pounds. So he's
Yeah.
tall and
Yeah.
pretty skinny.
Yeah, I actually mentioned him. He's got if I remember correctly, he's got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got an arsenal where he boasts 4 pitches, and he gets great movement on the ball. And so, if a kid like this can develop, I mean, you've got
Right.
Alex Santos, who's already really kind of making waves with what he's doing in the minor leagues. We got, I mean, this kid 20 years old. He's got a couple years behind him versus a 17 or 16-year-old. So that's definitely a good thing for the Astros pitching.
Then Henry Bibieka from San Cristobal, Dominican Republic. He's 19 years old. He's a right-handed pitcher, 6'1", 176 pounds. Right. So it looks like the Astros are. I mean, I know they're not technically tall. 6 foot is not really tall, but they're going for a lot of the tall type players. But there's a lot of players here that nobody really stands out. But the Kenny G, I'm just gonna call him Kenny G just because that sounds good with the saxophone player.
Uh,
So
do you secretly have Kenny G like on your playlist on your
no,
on your phone?
but
Okay.
the reason why it comes mine is my son plays saxophone and he's got the Kenny G hair.
Oh, there we
So
go. Okay, there's the connection. I was wondering. I thought maybe you were obsessed. I thought maybe under
no,
your Locked On polo, you had like
no,
a Kenny T-shirt.
no,
Okay,
I
just
do
making
not. I don't even know what a Kenny G song is. I just know who
Oh,
he is.
whatever. You know you do.
No, I don't.
Hey, you know you do. It's okay. We all know you listen to Sunny 99.1 with Delilah.
No, I don't. Only during the
I'm
Christmas
joking.
holidays, just to hear some Christmas music. But speaking of which, let's talk
Yeah.
about Built Bar. I
No,
mean,
well, look, here's the thing. It's a new year, and we've talked about this. Kids, we have gone over this before. You know the assignment. Get a Built Bar. That's right. Built bars are great. Why? Because they're protein bars that taste like candy bars. And why do I know that? Because A, I've tried them, and B, I know what's in them. They're wrapped in 100% chocolate, and they aren't full of chalky. Basically, it doesn't taste like just like you just put protein powder and threw some chocolate sauce on it. Like, this is good stuff. They're never too chewy. They have the right consistency. They average about 130 calories, about 4 to 5 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs, and then 17 grams of protein. They've got flavors like cookies and cream, mint brownie, salted caramel, raspberry, just whatever you want. They have these great things called built puffs. So this is what you need to do. You've heard me talk about it. Maybe you forgot the promo code. Well, let me give it to you. Write this down. Locked 15. That's LOCKED 15 for 15% off your first order. That's right. That's the same discount we get. And when you get it, you can get built points and get all this promo stuff. Just check it out. Locks 15 for 15% off at built.com. The best bar in the biz.
All right. And continue making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Listen to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to Locked On Astros podcast. So I know a lot of people think the Astros farm system is not the best farm system, and there's a reason for it. The Astros have traded a lot of the talent away, and they've also given away players. A lot of players have been promoted, like Alvarez, then Kyle Tucker, and then a lot of the players are now with the Astros, and so a lot of I guess we can talk about the rest of the players that we've signed in a little bit. We don't really know too much about them per se. We'll have to get some more insight on them in a later date. But I do know that I was looking at a tweet from Joel Sherman, and he did say something about the Astros and homegrown players compared to the Yankees. And he said that the Yankees have one position player they signed to his first pro contract in terms of the baseball references top 207 of WAR. So on the players of the team last year that they really signed to the first pro deal, basically a homegrown player, was Aaron Judge.
Yeah, the Yankees don't even compare to the Astros in this. The Yankees don't even compare to the Astros when it comes to playoff wins since 2015. So, I don't even know why we're talking about the Yankees. Well, they're not even in our – dude, hold on. The Yankees aren't even on the same block as us. They're basically pretenders. They're like, we have 27 rings. Okay, whatever. You have one homegrown guy. That's absolutely pathetic. That team, the reason why the Yankees aren't what they need to be is because they don't know how to grow talent. All they do is they cherry pick talent from other teams. Like they're trying to cherry pick our homegrown Carlos Correa, who has become hands down the best shortstop in Major League Baseball and is the envy of all Major League teams. So the Astros, Eric, have done this homegrown talent for a long time. They've been doing this for a while. Go all the way back to Craig Biggio. You know what I'm saying? This club has been doing this for the last 15, 20 something years. And that has, for me, been the knock on a lot of these clubs where they try to buy talent. They try to buy championships. You've got to grow the talent. You've got to have the system in place. And, that's, again, why when you talk about Carlos Correa, this stinging portion of that conversation is, but he was your guy that you brought up as a kid, and he became a major leaguer, and he's number one because he's your number one overall pick, and you're going to let him go.
Yeah, so I don't have the list in front of me, but I want to do a quick little game. The Astros have eight players. Let's see if we can name all eight.
Okay.
All right.
Are you talking about like players that
Like
were drafted?
Yeah, the homegrown Astros players. And so let's go ahead and type them in the chat just so we don't get them all confused. And I'm going to go ahead and say Correa first. So
Okay,
I'll put Correa first.
Oh, there you go. Layup.
Okay. Then who you got next?
Jose Altuve.
Okay. All right. Then we got Lance McCullers.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to put in the chat Altuve. Okay. So Lance McCullers, Carlos Correa.
Alvarez is not really homegrown.
Nope. Hold up. Kyle Tucker.
Tucker is. Okay, you got
Okay.
Tucker.
Yeah.
Okay. Bregman, I don't think Bregman was top
Yeah.
207 players last year, was he?
Oh, is this people that are top 207 players in the
Yeah.
major leagues?
Yes.
I don't know
Top.
what his rank is. I don't know. But if we're talking about top, hey, let's just do this. Let's just make an amendment. Okay. Let's just
Okay.
act like we're
Valdez
politicians.
definitely probably
We will,
was.
we will, well, if we have Valdez, we got to have Bregman. I mean, because
Okay.
Bregman was drafted, right? Brought
Okay.
him up. I
Yuli,
mean,
technically.
yeah, no, yeah. There's no technically about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got
Yuli.
awarded his contract back in 2016. Yeah.
Right. All right.
Um,
Who else?
pretty much everybody on this team. I mean, other than Zach Greinke and Justin
Oh, yeah.
Verlander,
Garcia. Luis
Luis
Garcia.
Garcia, Jose Urquidy, none of our catchers. Let's see.
Well, Castro's technically but I don't
Castro,
think he was
yeah,
top 207.
no. Sorry.
um,
Um, I'm trying to think. Top 207 players, probably not any others, to be honest.
Not Ryan Presley. He wasn't here.
No, he
Christian
started way before.
Javier. Maybe Christian Javier was
He's
top.
not he's not top 207, I don't
No.
think. No.
Okay. Who are we leaving out?
What was there 8 players?
They said 18.
Okay. Well, I mean, well then you have to extend the list. Yordan Alvarez, you already have him. I guess you got to put Christian Javier. Did you put Luis Garcia? Did you put Jake Myers? Did you put I mean, I don't
Maybe the
know.
Astros did sign. Maybe they did sign Alvarez to his first professional contract.
Yeah, they did because he hadn't taken a single at bat for the Dodgers.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
Maybe
yeah.
that's a little
Dude,
loophole.
I have no idea. I would have to look at this list because the whole arbitrary number of 207 top players, I have no idea who's on that list. So this
Yeah,
is for
but just
me.
think about that. You have 26 players on a roster, and like 18 of them are basically
Well,
homegrown. That's pretty good.
well, whenever they showed, because they had a graphic like this during the playoffs, I believe, and the Astros, the White Sox, and I forget the other team. There were 3 teams that were top. The Astros were, I believe, number 1. Um, and again, that is a testament to Jim Crane, who I cannot believe that someone in the right mind would say Jim Crane is not a good owner or Jim Crane is cheap, because he puts his money where his mouth is. And no, he's not going to break the team and break the bank to sign people, Eric. He's
Right.
just not going to hurt the ball club for the detriment of to the detriment of one player. But that's what we do. We grow talent. It's homegrown. They stay here. Forrest Whitley, if he ever makes it up to the big club, could be one of those guys. I mean, gosh, I mean, every
I'm
guys we got
really
coming up:
curious.
Corey Lee,
Yeah.
Hunter Brown. Well, who mentioned this on Twitter?
It
You
was
said
Joel
this was on
Sherman.
Twitter. Joel
Yeah.
Sherman.
Yeah, I sent that to
This
you via DM.
okay. We'll keep talking. I'll look it up.
Well, maybe I sent it to you via text today. So, and I think this was in response. Let me actually pull up the text. Actually, this is what I sent to you via text today. I didn't realize this, and this is the
Yeah, it was
teams
something
that.
completely different.
Yeah, so maybe I didn't send this to you, but surprisingly enough, the top all-time records for expansion franchises surprised him. This is Matt Eddy, and the Astros are 14th overall in expansion franchises with a 4.98 winning percentage. I guess there was a reason why the Astros fans were so excited in 2017, because they struggled so much. As much as they have won over the years, they've also lost and struggled as a franchise to get over that hump. They're kind of that 500 team for a while there. Then they had the losing seasons. We all remember the process of losing 100 games, 3 straight seasons. And then you started that slow climb of starting to win again. And then 2017 happened. Then just everything kind of went from there. But yeah, the Astros apparently as a franchise are still at about 500. a little bit
Yeah,
below
and
500.
well, here's the thing, and here's what I'll say about this because the Astros still get a lot of, I guess, flack for tanking. And if you look into what Luna was doing, okay, he wasn't tanking. He was trying to find the best players to field a team, not necessarily for that day, but for the future. And so while we were thinking he was yard selling, getting rid of Pence and all these guys and all these people he wasn't re-signing, he wasn't doing that to tank to get the high draft picks. Yes, he knew that getting rid of his veteran stars would definitely hurt the ball club, but he
Right.
was building something else. There was a plan in place. And
He was betting
re,
on it, basically. Yeah.
regardless,
Yeah.
I'll get to that in a second. Regardless, though, Jeff Lunau's effect on this team is still being felt today and probably will still be the reverberations of this will probably be another 3 or 4 or 5 years. And he gets credit to putting the Astros in the golden era. And in this age of, I don't know if you realize this, we have a whole generation of kids who don't really know the Astros as a losing ball club. All they know them as is a winning team. And all they know them as is these superstars year in and year out that compete in the playoffs. I mean, 5 straight ALCS. And so when I think about that, I think, okay, it's a new betting year and we continue to march toward the playoffs. So right now, former Houston Texan is battling against the LA Rams, JJ Watt for the Phoenix Cardinals or Arizona Cardinals, sorry. And it doesn't seem to be going too well for Mr. Watt. It's sad that the Texans stole all his talent in those years to keep him out of the Super Bowl. But if you're going to bet on the Super Bowl, if you're going to bet on anything, you need to get a betonline.ag. Why? Because it remains the number one spot for all sports wagering action for 2022. You get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use a promo code Locked On to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Brett, I so disagree with you. Astros fans witnessed 2020. The Astros had a losing season.
What do you mean?
They were
Oh, well,
29 and 31.
yeah, I don't know. But they still went to the ALCS,
I
okay?
know.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I totally get that, okay? I
Yeah.
totally get that. But at the end of the day, this team has been successful.
Yeah.
This team's been more successful than the Yankees. This team's been more successful than the Red Sox. This team's and some people are like, oh, but your only title is tainted. I don't care about that. Okay. What do those other clubs have in the future what do they have that we don't have? You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to be envied. Like
Right.
I don't want to be any other club. You know what, Eric? I would rather be now. Mark this down. I would rather be the Houston Astros than the New York Mets. I would rather be the Houston Astros than the New York Mets. And let me tell you why. Very simply. Yeah, the New York Mets made all these huge signings. Steve Cohen was pissed off by who was it? Steven Matz, who basically thumbed his nose at him. He's like, fine, I'll just sign the whole freaking league. I'll sign all these great free agents. And that's great. But those are all aged veteran players. They're not going to be there long term. The Astros' success window is still longer and more wide open than the New York Mets and all their billions of dollars
Right.
of spending, hundreds of $1 millions of spending. So I would much rather be a Houston Astro than a New York Met any day of the week.
Right. So the last time the Astros had a official losing season was in 2014 when they had a 70-92 record with Bo Porter as the manager. They had Jason Castro, John Singleton, Jose Altuve, Jonathan Villar, Matt Dominguez, Robbie Grossman, Dexter Fowler, George Springer, Chris Carter in the lineup. Then you probably saw a little bit of Marwin Gonzalez, Alex Presley, Jake Marisnick, LJ Hose. Remember them Hose? And then you had Max Stassi
you,
and Domingo Santana making his
you
debut.
saw that name 4 names before you're going to say it, and you're like, yes, I get to use the word hose. You're like, I think my seventh graders.
So, but I bring this up is because there's a lot of names that were kind of breaking in and getting ready for their big debut. And it's one of those names that is coming up is Jeremy Pena, and he's really doing really good in Dominican
Yes.
Winter League. And he's in the playoffs right now with another Astros player, Jose Siri. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in those playoffs.
Yeah, I'll do that, and then I'll address the question that Green has. So you have the Estrellas, the Eastern Stars, versus the Gigantes or the Giants, and they are in the final. This is a historic thing. Basically, they have a streak of seven consecutive games that they've won in their basically round robin tournament to obtain their final ticket, as they call it. They basically disqualified or stopped their opponents from making it into the final. And it's a 7-game series. And since Estrellas had the better record, they're going to be Estrellas will be home. Actually, and I believe they're playing. I believe they're playing tonight. Um,
Yeah.
Yes. So the Astralis has game 1 home, game 3, game 5, and game 7, which means the 3 games away will be game 2, 4, and 6. It's not like the series in the States where you have the 2-3-2 format. This is the one, I mean, like every other game is at the other, and there is no break in between. It's like 17th, 18th, 19th. 20th is a break, 20. So there's only one break in this 7-game series. So possibly, this could go all 7 games, and this is going to be a sprint to the finish where Jose Siri only has a couple home runs and only hit 219. He had limited at bats, he had about 68 or 69 at bats actually. And so, when he does hit a home run, one of the big things I love about this league is they're all about like the bat flipping and getting hype and just the energy. It's like Fernando Tatis Jr. sponsored this league. It's insane. The other day, Jeremy Pena hit an absolute tank, Eric. I mean, he freaking threw his bat down, jumped up in the air. I mean, these fans just were pandemonious whenever these home runs get hit. So what we'll do tomorrow night or the next podcast we get on is we'll kind of recap, talk about the games, what happened, who won those games, and keep up with it and see what Jose Siri is doing, see what Jeremy Pena is doing. But what's great is these guys are getting reps. And whether you say, well, it's the Dominican League, it doesn't matter. Jose Siri is gaining confidence.
Right.
Jeremy Pena is gaining confidence. Jeremy Pena is actually hitting all parts of the field. He's figuring out the bat better. And I really think, Eric, that you put Jeremy Pena right now, that if we were to start today and Carlos Correa we know is gone, I think Pena is your starting shortstop. I don't see any reason to start anybody else at this point or sign anybody else. I think the kid's ready.
All right. So, yeah, I think that I agree with you. And I said this before. I think that Jay Kaplan kind of agrees that it's really Pena's job to lose,
Yeah.
especially with, I think, Green RL says, do you think that the Astros would make any more moves for free agency? I would say yes. They're going to bring in a backup shortstop. They're going to bring in a veteran guy, maybe at Andrelton, Simmons, somebody like that. Just somebody not really to take over the job, but just be a backup because Aledmys Diaz, like the guy, but same time, he can't stay healthy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think he's good to have on the bench, Eric. I think he's a serviceable guy. If you limit his time to keep him from getting injured, maybe he's your guy because he's the guy that could go in the outfield. He's the guy that can play pretty much anything in the infield, right? I think catcher is the only position he hasn't played, if I'm not mistaken. Green RL is asking kind of when we're, discussing
That's
this
what I
kind of,
just said. Yeah.
yeah, dovetail this. It's like, Eric, do we think they're going to make any other moves? I think you and I have fallen on the side of, and correct me if I'm wrong for you, but we fall on the side that we don't really think that they're going to do a whole lot like with free agency, even after this CBA is agreed upon. What do you think?
Tell me you don't listen to me without telling me. No, I just said this, but yeah, I think that they're probably just going to add a backup shortstop. They may add another piece to the bullpen, maybe. I don't see them adding another starting pitcher. I don't
Right.
see them
No,
adding.
I think starting pitchers are
Yeah,
too high priced.
I think
I
Justin
mean,
Verlander was your starting pitcher,
yeah, you
unless
got Justin.
somebody just falls in your arm. But you already have Jake Odorizzi that you don't know what to do with.
Trade him. Trade him. Trade him. I love you, Odorizzi. Trade him.
Yeah. So I think that if you're looking, if you want my prediction, like I said, you're going to get a backup shortstop, not somebody to take over the starting job, but just somebody to just be backup just because Diaz can't stay healthy. And Pena is probably going to be the starter because Diaz is better as the utility guy, as somebody who can play third base, play first base, who can play a little bit shortstop. Yes, I know. Um, Arlie wants them to still sign Trevor Story. I would love for them to sign Trevor Story. I just don't
He
know.
can't hit away. Look at his batting average away from Coors Field. He can't
So
hit away.
Nolan Arenado had to learn how to hit away from Coors Field too.
Yeah, well, when I kind of dove into his stats, he's not hitting that great since he left there, though. I'm just saying, guys, they're not going to sign Trevor Story. Okay, Arlie and Eric, let's have this talk. All right, we're going to sit down like grown men, and I'm just going to be honest with you, and I'm going to say this because I love both of you. Okay, they're not signing Trevor Story because they're not going to pay him the big contract.
Oh,
If
that's
you
what I was going to
don't
say.
remember, if you don't pay the best, you're not going to pay the rest. And you can take that to the bank. You can put it on a shirt. I don't care. Sell it, make all kinds of money. If they don't pay Correa, they are not going to pay Trevor Story, especially when you got a kid like Jeremy Pena coming up. He's 26. Here's the thing, you're not going to hold Jeremy Pena off any longer. You're either going to play him or you're going to trade him. Those are your two options for Pena,
I
because then
agree,
you're
but
wasting.
Correa wants this much. Story wants about this much.
He still wants a long-term deal.
He doesn't want as long as Correa does.
Well, but his AAV, if you look at Spotrac, is actually above Eric.
Yeah, of course it's above mine.
No, it's above Carlos Correa's. It's weird. Like they have him at 29 and they have Correa at 27. I'm not paying Trevor Story $29 million. I'm paying Trevor maybe 20. But why would I pay Trevor 20 when I've got Pena? I mean, I've got other guys. I've got a slew of shortstops in the wings, prospect-wise. I mean,
that's why I said a backup shortstop. I'm not saying.
right.
I'm just saying I would love to sign Trevor Story, but I don't think they will. That's what I was saying.
Right. So that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. What do you do with Pena? I think you're wasting him. You are wasting Pena if you sign Trevor Story. Now, Eric, if we don't have Pena, I think Trevor Story is a very realistic option. And would it be terrible if they signed Story? I don't think it would be terrible, but I think it would be a less than smart move on the Astros' part in their plans and the way they built this club. And so it's just
like
one of
Thomas
those things.
says, this is what I want. Just a defensive-minded shortstop on cheap, just somebody to be a backup. Just in case something happens, Pena doesn't really hit. Like Andrelton Simmons.
Yeah, sign Simmons and let him
1-year deal.
Let him teach Pena how to play shortstop.
Option for a second year in case, like team
just
option.
Give him 1 year. Just give him 1 year.
Oh, team option.
There you go, team option.
No, not player option. He's not Justin Verlander.
Hey, Eric, here you go. Any thoughts?
No, he was talking about this.
Okay. I just saw any thoughts. He said, I heard that Yordan Alvarez may be a possible future first base option after Euler retires. I don't know. I know Joe Perez they're looking at for first base.
Yeah.
I really think they're going to put him in left field. I think the further Yordan gets away from his knee surgery and the more he plays and stays healthy, the more likely he is to be in the outfield. Eric, would you say that's a good assessment?
I thought I remember hearing or seeing somebody say that they're going to try to limit him in outfield this year just because of towards the end of the year. It seemed like him playing a lot in outfield kind of hurt his knees a little bit. So
right. But what I'm saying is, I think the long term, they want him out in left field because who are you going to put in left field if Yordan's not out there and Michael Brantley's gone? I see him in the left field more, but I think you have to have like this litany test. Like
Pena.
But who are you going to put at short? Why'd you put
So
Pena in left?
not Pena,
Pedro Leon?
Pedro Leon. Sorry, I was getting confused.
Well,
Yeah.
you put Pedro Leon in center field because he's got the strongest arm out there.
Well, then you put Chas McCormick or
Who
Jose
you put
Siri or
Chas
somebody,
McCormick and you put Chas McCormick or Jake
or
Myers in
whichever
left.
one,
You
somebody
put Pedro in center because when
whoever
Pedro,
matures faster. Yeah.
yeah, because I'm just saying when Pedro Leon reaches the major leagues, he's got the highest rated arm in all
Yeah.
the outfielders. So
Yeah. So something like that. So guys, we can keep on going, but I think we need to save the conversation for another day. And thank you for listening to the Locked On Astros podcast and making us your first listen every day. And we'll be back probably on Wednesday night with another Locked On Astros podcast and Go Astros, and we'll talk to you again.